Welcome back to TF3 on YouTube. Thank you very much for tuning in. We are here to talk about the Copa América Centenario. It is the 100th anniversary of the world's oldest soccer competition. Joining me to talk through it all, the one and only Lawrence McKenna. Lawrence, how are you doing?
How you doing?
We've also got the man, the myth, the legend, Chris Henage.
Good evening.
And some bloke called Dave. Welcome, Dave.
Hi.
Hi. We're going to be talking about the tactics. We're going to be talking a little bit about the players to watch and who we think is going to win this competition. First off, tactics, Dave. What sort of tactical trends can we expect, and what are you excited to see at this tournament?
I think the first one we're going to talk about is Brazil. Under Dunga, they're going to be very rigid. They're going to be a little bit more. It's going to be different from the last tournament where they got teared apart by Germany, 7-1. We'll see a defensive Brazil with a lot of ball winners in there, looking to counter-attack. And with a man of Jonas's quality up front, if they can get the ball long to him, get him involved with Coutinho playing off him, and maybe someone like Firmino or Willian, it could be a good little blend of aggression, defensive capabilities, other sort of tactical things we've got to look out for. Where will Lionel Messi play? Maybe wide right, maybe behind the striker. How Argentina need to utilise Iva Banega. He's been so good for Sevilla this season, especially in the Europa League. Creating things and controlling games in that final third. We saw how he took apart Liverpool in that second half. Then moving on to Chile. Chile obviously losing Sampaoli, and now they're not really playing a back three anymore. They've moved away from that, more of a 4-2-3-1, and I don't think it's going to be the same Chile. I like Chile being explosive, playing 3 at the back, 4 in midfield, 2 attacking midfielders off a striker and pressing from the front. So it's going to be a different Chile, and a Chile that potentially won't go as far as we've seen in the past. I think they've only picked up 1 win from the last 5 games, so there's a lot of question marks there.
What about USA, Chris?
Tactically?
Yeah.
People ask me this quite often, how did the USA play? And I always say I don't really know. And that's not because I don't watch the games, it's just because really...
They don't know.
it's hard to glean defined aspects of them. They certainly have traits. They want to turn the ball over quickly from back to front. They want to use pace to transition quickly as well, with the likes of DeAndre Edelin, Bobby Wood coming in, who's just moved to Hamburg in Germany. Outside of that, it's hard to see really a very detailed ethos or plan being implemented there. And I think in some ways, look, that'll help them in the CONCACAF games. My concern with them is when you give them the ball and say, break us down, they tend to panic a bit. They remind me a bit in that sense of Slovakia in the Euros. They were poor in the Gold Cup. They were beaten by a Jamaica side that was on good form and a good team, but they should have beaten them. And you look right back to the goalkeeper situation, which is very ambiguous at the minute. There's not really a better of Brad Guzan and Tim Howard. That usually for them was such a central point.
And so that leads us on to who you think is going to be each a player of a tournament. And Chris, my question to you is, will Pulisic be that player for the USA?
He's the best prospect the US have produced, I think, in the last 25 years. Better than Landon Donovan. There's a maturity and a composure with him that I always find watching him, and it always leads me to come away thinking, my goodness, he's 17 years old. At 17 years old, I had an email address that was offspring_1988. I was far from mature. And here is this guy doing fantastic things in the Bundesliga, scoring goals, handling the Schalke derby with ease and a composure far beyond his years. And for that reason, I think he could be the star. The thing they have to avoid, and this is something that I think the United States as a whole is so self-aware of, and I do really commend them for, is not to jump on this hype train and be very careful and temper expectations. Because no sooner have you mentioned Pulisic, people throw a do in there. And I understand why. Similar situation. I think, honestly, very different players. And already they've had very different careers at this point. But I see why they're loath to hype him up, because they want him to grow in an organic way, in the way that maybe someone with Spain or France would, where they wouldn't have that pressure and they'd be challenged at the right moments.
I am quite excited to see, and he's not an unknown player, so I'm not going to act like he isn't, but Javier Hernandez, because I know obviously for Mexico, Dos Santos isn't there, Carlos Vela isn't there, Hernandez is going to be the main man, and obviously he's coming off a career best season at Leverkusen. I think he scored something like 26 goals in total for them. So I think he's going to be an interesting player to see if, Mexico have got their own problems, but to see if he can be the man who sort of inspires them to go quite far in the competition. What about you, Dave? Who are you looking out for?
I think, again, I mentioned a man I mentioned before, Jonas. I think he's had an absolutely fantastic season for Benfica. I think he's going to be scoring goals for fun out there. Brazil have been searching for that number 9 for years and years and years. They could have got Diego Costa. Obviously, he switched his allegiance to Spain, and now they've got that man, Jonas. So, target man, they can play off him, but he's also very, very technically gifted. Other players that you maybe want to look at, if you want to look at Argentina, I'd love to see Nicolas Gaitan get a run in that side, but he's probably going to be forced out for, Di Maria, Messi, and whether it's going to be Higuain or Aguero. Higuain obviously was moments away from winning the World Cup if he'd taken his 2 chances in that game. So he's got a really big tournament, but coming off a great season over in Syria, 38 league goals out there, or something crazy like that. So I think it's 38 goals in all competitions, but he's had a very, very good season. So him as well, top scorer wise. But I think I'd definitely put my money on Jonas. I just feel he's in form. He's at the right age, like 29 years old. He's been there, been to Valencia, now back to Benfica, and he's found his feet again. I just feel that he fits into this Dunga side.
Who do you think is going to win this whole thing then, Chris? The 100th anniversary edition. Who is going to walk away with that trophy?
It's like a book.
I think, given the way you phrased the question, it would be wonderfully fitting if Uruguay did it, and I think they will. They've never gone more than 16 years without winning this competition, and they just seem to understand what it takes to win it, and the spirit and all that kind of stuff. They're just... It's almost hard to put into words with Uruguay, but there is an aura around that team when you speak to people from the country, when you speak to journalists from the country like I have, about what this means to them. I think it feeds into a lot of different avenues. It's the fact that they're a small nation in a big continent, and it's that idea of showing someone that they're just as good as everyone else, that they don't need numbers, they can still do it. And the fact that Oscar Tabarez has really harnessed that spirit and pushed it into this team, I really do think that they'll win it.
I'm going to say Argentina. I don't have a massive amount of faith in Tata Martino, but at the same time, I feel like, this is a stick that's always used to beat Lionel Messi with, that he hasn't won a senior international tournament with Argentina, 28 now. So I think this is maybe the time now where they need to go that cross that final hurdle, essentially, and win this entire tournament. So I don't have a massive amount of faith in them, but I want them to do it, essentially. What about you, Dave? Who do you think is going to win this whole bloody thing?
Well, I think it's going to be Costa Rica there. They showed at the World Cup playing 5 at the back, 4 in midfield and 1 up top with Brian Ruiz playing that floating role. They've got a real chance now. It's absolutely rubbish. I feel that it's got to be Brazil or Argentina for me. I feel like Messi, like you said, Adam, he's got to win a tournament soon. And I feel as he gets to the latter stage of his career, he gets deeper and deeper into midfield, he'll start dictating. Argentina will start winning. So I'm going to go with Argentina. But I think, Brazil, dark horses in a way. Well, not really dark horses.
Lawrence, who's your shout?
Jamaica.
Yes, Wes Morgan. Come on.
Wes Morgan. Not only Wes Morgan. I mean, you've got people like Mary Hapu in there as well. I also think Giles Barnes. I also like JV Watson.
Me too.
Javon Watson.
Yeah, JV.
Cheers.
Oh, okay.
Thanks.
Sorry, clearly closer with him than I am.
Him and I are on personal terms, thanks.
JV, JV.
Just because what I do remember from the time that I spent in the Gold Cup in 2009, that's so long ago now, but the Gold Cup in 2009, the Jamaica fans were just fantastic to have in the tournament, and I think that is a huge part of why it's been staged in North America, is that overall the corporate side of football is expecting to profit. But I think a lot of people are going to be pleasantly surprised about the way that America hosts the tournament. We know they're fantastic hosts, and how well people mix into those countries, and also how great America is at pushing a load of people into one area, not least Jamaican people who have had a fantastic time tailgating or doing their own version of tailgating, and also sort of just integrating and mixing in with everyone else and bringing a great atmosphere to a number of stadiums across the states. It's been staged all across America, and I think for that reason I want to push a little guy.
Well, there you go. You heard it here first. Jamaica are going to win the Copa America. For now, though, guys, thank you very much for watching. Get your comments in below. Who is going to win the Copa America? Chris, you are going to be over there for the whole tournament. You're going to be talking to us throughout, apparently. Where can the good people find you if they want to see more of you? Not only the front three on YouTube, but if they want to see that face in America.
You can find me on my Facebook page.
Ooh. What do you type in?
Not what pulls up my Facebook profile. Which
Just
has been what so many people have found the last 2 days.
you got a lot of personal friends.
It's private.
That's a bonus. You got a lot of new friends on Facebook.
Far too polite to turn them down. Just accept them all, and now they all know about my life.
Every aspect. Guys, we'll leave a link in the description. Go over to Chris's professional Facebook page. Follow him there for Copa America updates. He's also going to be on TF3, so make sure you stay tuned. Subscribe to this channel for plenty more videos throughout the Copa America, throughout the Euros. Until next time, we'll see you later on TF3. Yeah, Trois.
Surely it should have been in Spanish, no?
TF3. Tres.
TF.
Yeah, there you go.
Triple
Done.
TF.